All right. Let's start back onto our back. And we're just gonna start stretching. So if you have a band or a ring, you can use that for assistance. You'd put the band around your foot and pull it in. You could just grab onto the leg and pull it in for some stretches. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Lengthen the back of the neck. And think about pulling the belly in. Now, Pilates, the breath, remember, is always up high in the rib cage. So you want to think of that lateral rib cage breathing. Pull the leg in a little deeper. And then we're going to drop this right leg out to the side so you feel the inner thigh stretch. If you have that band around the foot or the ring around the foot, try to pull that leg in a little deeper. Try to keep your hips squared off facing the ceiling and both shoulders pressing down towards the floor. Lengthen the back of the neck. Bring the leg up, and then you're going to do a little crossover towards the opposite side. So it's not a big crossover because you still want to keep both hips on the floor. When you cross over, try to bring that foot towards the opposite shoulder. Keep the leg straight, pull it in a little deeper, and then you can bring it right back to center. Bend the knee, just hug the knee into your chest, and then we're going to do the same stretch on the other leg. Kicking the leg to the ceiling and pull it in. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Lengthen the back of the neck. Flex the foot too to deepen the stretch. And then we're going to drop the leg out to the side. If you have the strap or the band, keep pulling a little deeper. Keep your hips squared off facing the ceiling. Keep your abs tight and pulled in. Then you're going to bring the leg right back up to the ceiling and then cross over the center line. Trying to pull that foot towards your shoulder. Keep the leg straight. Keep both hips on the floor. Pull the leg in a little deeper. And then you can come right back to center. Bend the knee and then hug that knee into your chest. You're going to rest both feet on the floor with parallel feet. Heels are lined up with your sit bones. And we're just going to rock your pelvis back and forth. So hands are by your side. Rock your pelvis so you feel the imprint. And then rock your pelvis forward so you feel the arch in the low back. Rocking back and forth. Feel the imprinted spine and then arching. Do one more. Rock back into the imprint and hold it. Take a deep breath up high in the ribcage and then lift your hips up into the bridge. Hold your hips up high, reach your arms longer and press the arms into the floor. And then slowly roll your spine all the way back down until you rest. Take another deep breath in. Exhale, lifting the hips. Good. Hold the hips up high, press the toes to the floor, and then rolling your spine right back down. We're going to do some ab curls, but you're going to do this with tabletop legs. If you have that ball, grab onto your ball, squeeze it between your knees. Holding the legs at tabletop position, find your neutral. Neutral's where hip bones and pubic bone on the same plane. Pull the belly in and then flex the upper spine up. You curl up, look into the belly, and then rest head and shoulders back down. If you don't want to add the flexion, you could just stay on the floor and focus on tightening your abs. But if you can, curl up, look into the belly, reach long arms, and then rest head and shoulders down. We'll do two more. Squeeze the ball tighter. Think about pulling up on the pelvic floor. Rest down, curl up, and hold this last one. Now the hold up is optional. You could put your head back down to the floor if you need to. We're going to do toe taps. So still squeezing that ball if you have it. You're just moving through the hip joints. So lower the legs and then lift the legs. Don't move the knee joints. This is just in the hips. Lower and lift, reaching longer arms. Curl up a little bit higher if you can. Now you're going to get the feet real close to the floor and hold it and still squeeze the ball. Feet are just hovering off the floor but not resting. You're pulling the belly in. Take one more deep breath and squeeze that ball tighter. And then you can rest your feet to the floor. Now keep the ball between the knees, still squeezing if you have it. Feet are on the floor, and it's okay if you don't have the ball. Just keep your knees in line with the hips. You're going to rock your pelvis back for the imprint and then lift the hips up into the bridge. Excuse me, lift the hips up into the bridge again. And then slowly roll back down to your rest. We're going to do one more, still squeezing the ball as you bridge up. Hold at the top, and then rolling right back down. And we're doing some single leg bridges, so keep the ball there if you have it. If you don't, keep your thighs parallel. Lift the hips up, and then rolling right back down into the imprint. Two more on the single leg, so don't switch legs. Keep that same leg straight, and then roll down, squeeze the ball tighter. Keep that leg straight, don't rest the foot. You got one more. and then roll back down. Now we're gonna do 3 on the other side. So lengthen the opposite leg to straight, squeeze the ball, lift the hips, and then rolling down. 2 more, longer leg reaching out of the hip. Good, keep that lower foot flat on the floor. After you rest back down, keep your hips down. You can rest the leg if you need the break, but now we're moving the ball between your ankles and we're gonna go into the 100. So remember with the 100, you can keep the legs at tabletop. You can also keep head and shoulders down. Otherwise, you're gonna curl up, look into the belly, lengthen the legs to straight, and then start pumping the arms. Inhaling for 5 counts, exhaling for 5. Try to squeeze the ball tighter. Use the upper back to shrug your shoulders down. Try to get the legs a little lower if you can, as long as you're not feeling stress in the low back. Try to keep the pulses with the arms synced with the pulses of the breath. Remember that breath is up high in the rib cage, and when you exhale, you're forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs. Keep pumping those arms. This is your last 10 count. After you exhale, you can finally rest back down to the floor. Let's get rid of the ball. Lengthen your right leg to the ceiling. Left leg is on the floor. Now with left leg on the floor, it could be bent or straight. That's up to you. So hands are by your side. Don't use your arms to hold that leg up. We're gonna start circles. Circling that leg down and around. Either direction is fine because we are going to go in both directions. Keep your hips squared off, facing the ceiling. Lengthening the back of the neck. Inhale as you start. Exhale as you finish. Do 1 more. When you bring that leg to the ceiling, you're going to pause with the leg up there. Don't use your hands. Flex the feet and then go in the opposite direction. Inhale as you start the circle. Exhale as you finish. Try not to move anything in the upper body as you roll into the hip. Do 1 more. When you bring the leg up, grab on and pull it in for a stretch. Okay, you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Just gonna make sure nobody's still in the waiting room. Good. Reach into the toes. Lengthening the back of the neck. Imagine you're cinching that tight belt around your waist. Remember that lower leg can always be bent too. That feels better in the lower back. When you bring the leg up, flex both feet and go in the opposite direction. Always forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs. Press the shoulders to the floor. Do 1 more big circle without moving the pelvis. When you bring that leg to the ceiling, grab on and pull it in for a stretch. Now you're going to bring both legs down to straight onto the floor. Arms are going to go straight to the ceiling. Now a little tip, if you have hand weights, it's going to make this exercise actually easier to get up off the floor. So you can use 2 little hand weights if you have it. Otherwise, just reach long arms, bring head and shoulders up, come all the way up off the floor, and stretch over the legs. Stack your spine up to straight, and then roll all the way back down to the floor. Arms straight up, take a deep breath. Exhale, peeling your spine up, keep the legs straight and fold over the legs. Stack up, grow tall, and then rolling back down. Now if you want more of a challenge, bring your fingers laced together behind your head. Curl up, look into your belly, and then stretch over the legs. Stack up, grow tall, and then rolling back down to the floor. Good, shoulders still shrug down, head and shoulders come up, and stretching forward. Stack up, grow tall. Now roll down real slow, all the way down to the floor. And then you can bring your hands down by your side. Now the legs are gonna come up to tabletop because we're going into our ab series here. So with the ab series, we're gonna run through all 5 exercises real quick. And you can always take breaks. You can also modify this by keeping your head down. If you can, curl up, hug one leg in, lengthen out to straight, and then switch. Keep your shoulders shrugging down so you're not gripping into the neck. Make sure you fully extend that leg outward to straight, like you're reaching out of the hip. Now bring both legs together, squeeze them together, stay curled up. As the legs reach forward, your arms extend back, and then you come right back into your little ball. You open up, and then you come back to center. Make sure you're squeezing the legs together, and you're not letting head and shoulders fall to the floor as your arms reach back. Think squeezing your glutes too, and those legs lengthen away. Now the last one, just hold it. Open up and stay there if you can. Reach those arms longer, extend the legs, curl up higher, and then you can come back to center. So if scissor kicks next, one leg is to the ceiling, and the other leg falls to the floor, and then you switch. Think force in there out of the lungs, you pull that leg in. If you can deepen the stretch, try flexing the feet, reaching out through the heels. Stay curled up, try not to grip into your neck. You have one more on each leg, and then when you stop, bring both legs to the ceiling, point your feet, reach through the toes, and your hands are down by your side on the floor. Even press the back of the shoulders to the floor, so your head and shoulders will be down. Both legs lower and lift. Now pay attention to the low back on this one. You don't want to change the position of the lumbar spine or your pelvis as the legs are going down and up. Squeeze the inner thighs together, pulling the belly in. Last two. When you bring those legs right back up to the ceiling, bend them to tabletop, bring fingers laced together behind your head, curl up, look into the belly, and then you're going to twist towards the bent leg, and then switch. Think bringing the air out of the lungs, keep elbows wide. Try to curl up a little bit higher if you can. Now twist to one side and let's hold the rotation. Try to twist a little further, curl up a little bit higher, reach that leg longer, and then go to the other side and hold it. Keep the elbows wide so they're not wrapping around your head, curl up a little bit higher, and then you come back to center, and then you can rest down. So back to another set of bridging. Feet are parallel on the floor. We don't want to use the ball on this one because we're going to do some alternating leg kicks. Hands are by your side. Start with the imprinted spine and lift the hips to the ceiling. Hold the hips up high. One leg extends up to the ceiling and lower down, switch legs. Exhale as you kick up. Try not to let the hips gradually fall. Make sure your arms are still strong, pressing down into the floor. You have one more kick on each side. After both feet are on the floor, hold for a deep breath, and then slowly roll your spine back down into your rest. We're going to do that again, but then we get the leg up and hold it. So start with the parallel feet, lift the hips, hold up high, kick one leg to the ceiling and keep it there. Keep it straight, you flex the foot, lower the leg halfway, point as you lift back up. Keep the hips up high, keep your arms long and reaching. Keep that lower leg strong, pushing downward into the floor. And go ahead and rest the foot. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Keep the hips up, lower the leg, and lift. Flexing and pointing. If you look down your torso, you should notice that your hip bones are parallel. They're level with each other. Do one more, and then you're going to rest down the foot, take a deep breath, and then slowly roll your spine back down. Once the hips are on the floor, cross one ankle over the opposite knee, and then hug it into your chest. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Hugging it in. Now we're going to roll over onto our side. When you're on your side, we're doing our side leg series. You can lay all the way down onto your side and use the lower arm for neck support, or you could prop yourself up onto your elbow. The legs are forward slightly at an angle, and you're going to lift the waistline up. So we're not just sinking into the shoulder and flexing our spine. You want to stay lifted near the waistline. The top leg lifts and lowers, pointing and flexing. Good. Shoulders still shrug down. Good. If you want to make this a little bit harder, you can draw the legs back and then prop yourself up onto your elbow to challenge your balance a little bit more. So then it makes it a little bit harder to balance when you're in that straight line down your mat. Still pointing and flexing. Then you're going to hold the leg about hip height and just draw small circles. Shoulders still shrug down. Good. You know, I know some of you guys had weights, so you could, if you felt like it, take that free hand and just do some random stuff with your weights. So you can go in the opposite direction. And when we're circling the leg in the opposite direction here, you want to flex the foot and reach out to the heel. Keep trying to narrow the waistline, pulling the belly in. Now hold the foot flexed. Keep it level with your hip because it's going to swing forward and back. And don't move anything in the upper body. You could always keep that top arm on the floor to help you feel grounded. Keep the lower leg tight and strong. Still breathing. 2 more kicks. When you bring the legs back to stacked, you are going to draw them back so you are in a straight line if you weren't before. Go all the way down to the floor. Squeeze the legs together. If you did want to work your inner thighs, you could put the ball between your ankles. Otherwise, just keep the legs together. You're going to lift both legs and lower. Lift and lower. Go ahead, try not to grip into your neck. Keep the shoulders down. Think longer legs, reaching out through the toes. Go lift and just hold it up there. Hold and breathe. Squeeze that ball tighter if you have it. And then you're gonna rest back down. We're gonna go over to the other side. So depending on what version you did before, you could prop yourself up onto your elbow. You can lay all the way down to the floor. You could start off with legs forward slightly at an angle to help with balance. But the hardest version is gonna be legs back. So you're in a straight line down the center of your mat, and then you're propped up onto your elbow. Try not to use that forearm for balance support. Pointing as you lift the leg, flexing as you lower. Keep trying to narrow the waistline again, like you're cinching that belt tighter. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Keep reaching out of the hip for a longer leg. Now hold the leg at hip height and just draw circles. Still using the upper back to shrug your shoulders down. Still breathing. Keep that lower leg tight and strong. Now you're going to flex the foot and go in the opposite direction. Don't let the lower leg get lazy. Remember to keep taking a deep breath up high in the rib cage. Reaching out of the hip. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Now keep the foot flexed and hip height. You're going to swing the leg forward and back. Try not to move anything in the upper body. So think of that lower leg as your anchor. It's keeping you glued to the floor. Your abs are tight and pulled in. Try not to let anything move in the upper half either. Flexing as you go forward, pointing as you go back, just adds to the coordination. We'll do 2 more kicks. After you bring the legs back to center, you are going to lay all the way down to the floor. And on this one, I give you the extra challenge of using the ball between the ankles if you want it. Otherwise, just glue the legs together. Both legs are going to lift and lower. Good, shoulders shrug down. If you can, try not to use that hand on the mat in front of you. Squeezing that ball tighter if you have it, or just squeezing the legs together. Lift both legs up and hold it. Squeeze the ball tighter, reach for longer legs, and then you can finally rest back down. Let's get rid of the ball, and you're gonna flip onto your belly. I think Christy knew what we were gonna do next. You're well trained. You're gonna have your palms hovering off the floor, legs are long and straight, pull the belly in, and you're just gonna lift the rib cage up, not using the arms, and then lower right back down. Lifting the rib cage, and then lower. So you just follow this baby swan. Try not to lift the legs, just the ribs. Keeping tops of the feet on the floor. And as you're lifting, don't let your abdomen push downward into the floor. You are still drawing the navel in. Do 1 more lift up, and then you can rest. On the next one, we're going to start the motion using your back, but the hands will be on the floor because you are going to end up using your arms. You're going to lift the muscle, using your muscles in your back, lift the rib cage, and then push the floor away as you come all the way up. And it's fine if you just lift a little, you're just lifting as far as that low back will let you extend. So start the by lifting using your back, and then the arms work to help you come all the way up. Try not to lock the elbows, and don't let your shoulders grip up in your neck. Lifting up and lower. We'll do one more. After you lower back down to the floor, bring your hands or your forearms right underneath your forehead, and we're going to be lifting the legs up. So try not to grip up in your neck, still keep shoulders down, just rest your head on your arms and lift both legs. That's good. Now you can keep the legs hip width apart, mat width apart, but if you can, bring them together to make your inner thighs work harder. It does form more compression in the low back, so if it feels better, you can just keep the legs apart as you lift them. Try to lift the legs and hold it, and then do little beats. You're opening and closing the legs, tapping the heels together. Try to lift the legs a little higher, pull the belly in deeper, shoulders shrug down. Now glue the heels together, bend your knees wide, keep the knees bent with your heels together. We're lifting the knees and dropping the knees, up and down. Good. Try not to grip into your neck. Remember to keep the shoulders down out of the ears. Hopefully your abs are still tight and pulled in. Do one more lift and hold it. Really press the heels together, still pull up on the pelvic floor, and then you can finally relax. Lengthen the legs to straight, lengthen your arms to straight. We're gonna do swimming. One more here while you're on your belly. Remember, you could just do upper body or lower body, but if you can, you're gonna lift everything up and then swim arms and legs. Still breathing. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Take one more deep breath, and then you're gonna rest back down. Pick up your hips and sit back to your heels for a child's pose stretch. And really think rounding your spine towards the ceiling when you're in this stretch. We're gonna come up onto all fours here. So wrists are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips, and you're gonna curl the toes under. On this one, we're gonna try to lift the knees so they hover off the floor, but it's okay if you wanna keep your knees down. If you can, lift them up so they hover. Keep your arms strong, pushing the floor away, and your shoulders down, and your shoulder blades spread apart. One leg lifts up, lower down, lift the other leg up, and lower down. So as we're doing these alternating leg kicks, you don't want to move anything in your spine, not even moving your pelvis. So sometimes if we kick that leg too high, the low back sways and then we come back. You also have to pay attention to that lower leg stays in the same spot so it's not gradually getting higher off the floor as we're kicking. You got to keep your knees hovering off the mat. Do one more on each side, hopefully you're still breathing. And then when you rest down to your knees, you can do your little child's pose stretch, but then we will be kneeling. I know, Sally, you like to do this one seated. But we're gonna do thigh stretch. So this one, you're gonna end up kneeling, standing tall on your knees right underneath your hips, hands are by your side. If you have weights, you can use those arms out in front of you with weights. You could squeeze your ball too if you wanted to, but we're gonna hinge back into a thigh stretch and then come forward. You don't wanna arch your back and then straighten. You wanna hinge from the knee joint. Feel those thighs being stretched and worked. Engage the inner thighs like you're trying to squeeze the legs a little closer together, always pulling up on the pelvic floor. If you have that ball, squeeze it a little tighter. You're gonna fall back and hold the thigh stretch. And while you're in this thigh stretch, your arms are gonna lift up next to your ears and then back down. Stay in the thigh stretch as the arms are going up and down. You'll notice that's a lot harder in your quads when those arms lift up high. Try to hinge back a little further if you can. You have one more. When you lower the arms, come forward. And then we're gonna end up coming down to seated with your legs straight out in front of you. You don't need your ball, you can get rid of it. With your legs straight, the legs are about as wide as your mat, and your spine is long and straight. Reach your arms forward, and your upper spine is gonna flex forward, and then stack right back up. So this is just spine stretch forward, and we mostly focus here on the thoracic spine stretching, but you are thinking about longer legs, keeping them working, feel it stretch in the back of the legs, hollowing out the abdomen, reaching longer arms. Do one more, stretching your upper spine forward, and then stack right back up. Bring your legs a little closer together. Arms are still reaching, grow tall. You could use hand weights on this one if you have it. You're gonna twist to one side and then come back to center, twist to the other side. So when you're twisting, really think rotating that spine as much as you can and bringing the air out of the lungs. Try to grow taller and pay attention to the legs and the hips on this one. So as you're rotating, we're just twisting at the waist. You don't want your ankle bones to rub because that means you're moving your hips. We're just twisting at the waist, keeping the pelvis stable. Finish that last set, and when you come back to center, we're gonna hold it. So this one, you can keep your arms reaching, you can squeeze your weights, your ball, but this, we're just gonna move our legs. So let's start with the right leg. Still try to sit tall and lift one leg up, little lifts. It's hard to sit tall and straight while this leg is going up and down. You just don't wanna use your arms on the floor like kickstands. Try to grow taller, pull the belly in. Then you're gonna rest the leg, do the same on the other side. Try to grow taller and straighter. Still breathing. Reach longer legs, even lengthen your spine a little more. And then you can go ahead and rest the leg. You can shake up those quads, try to massage the hip flexors if you need it. Knees are gonna be bent on the floor with feet flat. We're gonna do a couple half roll back. So you can still use the weights in your hands or the ball if you have it. You're gonna tuck the tailbone and just fall back halfway and then come forward and grow tall. Fall back halfway and then pull forward. Shoulders still shrugged down, your abs are still tight pulled in. We're gonna start adding a rotation. So as you fall, we twist to one side, come back up and face front, twist to the other side. Good, shoulders are shrugging down, squeeze the legs together, keep your feet flat to the floor. Do one more twist on each side. And then when you come back to center, we're gonna hold it. Hands are on your shins and we're doing rolling like a ball. Just make sure you have enough room on your mat behind you. When you're in the ball, you wanna balance behind the sit bones, feet are off the floor. You could just hold this if you don't wanna roll, but if you can, roll to your shoulders and then come right back up and balance and don't let the feet touch the floor. Inhale as you roll back, exhale up. You wanna try to maintain the same distance between knees and shoulders the whole time. So if you want to make this harder, reach your arms forward and don't touch anything with the arms. You got to focus on the abs, hip flexors, and quads and hold yourself in this tight little ball. Good, do one more. When you're up, we're going to hold it because we're going to move right into teaser from a seated position. So move your hands to the back of your thighs, lift the rib cage so you go a little longer and straighter through your spine. The legs can just hang out here at tabletop, but if you can work harder, extend them to straight. And then if you can, let go of the legs. You can still keep them at tabletop and let go. Lift the rib cage higher, pull the belly in. Now for more balance challenge, reach those arms up next to your ears. Still lengthen your spine, still breathing. And then you can bend your knees and then rest back down. Now come back onto your back again. With this one, if anybody has the roller, you could put the roller underneath the low back if you need help for roll over. Roll over is where we bring our hips up and legs overhead. You could use the block too underneath your hips. Actually, you could use the ball too. But I'll show you the modified version of rollover real quick. If you need something under your hips for assistance, you would just bring the legs overhead, feel the stretch, and then you can bring the legs back up. If you don't need any of that, just hold your legs straight to the ceiling. You'll lift the hips up a little, and then you can rest down. If you're ready to go for the full, you could go all the way overhead so knees are right in front of your face. And then roll back down. So there's pretty much two preps. Supporting your hips on something and bring your legs overhead, or you could just do a little tiny hip lift if you don't want to go into that deeper stretch. That's good if you can bring those legs all the way overhead. I know it's really hard to do this exercise when you have to look at a camera or a computer here, but it is ideal to keep your neck in neutral and look to the legs or the ceiling as you're going into this exercise. We'll do one more, legs overhead. When you roll your spine back down, keep your head down, and then you get a rest. So now point your feet, reach through the toes. We're gonna hold those legs long and straight, and we're gonna do corkscrew. Starting off easy, keep your hips on the floor, just draw a circle on the ceiling with your toes, and then you're back to center, draw that circle on the ceiling in the opposite direction and back to center. And you're not just moving your feet, you're moving your waistline. You want to feel those obliques work hard, so really the circle is drawn with the whole, your legs drawn down and around back to center. Now, if you could work a little harder, we pick the hips up to start, draw those legs down and around for a circle. You come back to center, pick the hips up, and draw down and around in another circle. Good. If you're ready for more challenge, we'll go into our full corkscrew. It's a lot harder. If you need to see it first, you can. We bring your legs all the way overhead for a rollover. Then you roll down one side of your back, draw the legs down and around, and come up from the other side. You center yourself, and then do that whole thing all over again in the opposite direction. So you're rolling up and down on the sides of your back instead of down the center, up and around. But when you are ready to finish that full exercise, you do want to center yourself and roll down even. I know it's so much harder to go into that rollover and then roll down without your head and shoulders coming up. Or so we're like, nope, all done. So let's just rest back down for a moment. Your knees are bent, feet are flat, knees together, drop your knees to one side, and then twist. And we'll bring the knees up and over to the other side. Now when you come back to center, we are going to go into teaser. So teaser, let's start with your legs straight down onto the floor, and your arms are up to the ceiling. Both legs are straight. So this one, it can just be upper spine. It doesn't have to be your whole spine that comes up, but we are going to alternate the leg lifts. So as the head and shoulders come up, so does one of the legs. And you lift up into what looks kind of like a modified teaser here, and then you slowly roll back down. So spine and leg go down. It's fine. We'll do the same thing on the other side. It's fine if it's just head and shoulders, and you lift the leg, and then you roll right back down. That's good. Keep alternating, lifting up. Exhaling as you come up, hold at the top for a deep breath. Try to lower the leg and the spine simultaneously to the floor. Good, same thing on the other side. And then resting all the way back down. Now you can keep going with that if you want. Otherwise, we're gonna work harder and bring the legs to tabletop. As the spine comes up, both legs extend to straight, hold at the top, and then you slowly roll back down, returning the legs to tabletop. Good, we'll go again, lifting up, lengthen the legs, and then rolling back down. Remember, if you liked this straight leg alternating the first set, you can keep doing that if you want. We're gonna make it harder on the next one, rolling back down. So if you wanna stick with this tabletop version, you could do that. Otherwise, lengthen the legs down to the floor. Both legs are straight, glued together. This one, we're lifting both legs at the same time as your spine. So head and shoulders come up, and then the legs and the spine lift. Take a deep breath at the top, and then slowly fall back down, one vertebrae at a time, lowering your head and the feet at the same time. We'll do it again, lifting up. Hold at the top for a deep breath, and then slowly rolling back down to the floor. Gonna do two more if you can. Take a break here if you need it. Squeeze those inner thighs together. Really squeeze your glutes to help you go down slow. You got one more. Exhale, lift. And then you can finally rest back down to the floor. Bring your hands down by your side. Your legs are going to come up to tabletop. Head and shoulders are going to stay on the floor on this one, but imagine that they're pinned to the floor and they're not allowed to leave the mat. Gluing your legs together, tip them to one side, extend both legs to straight, bend them back to tabletop and tip to the other side. This one we call can-can. You're gluing the legs together and you're not letting the upper half of your body move. We're just twisting through the waistline to make those obliques work. Good. Now this is a prep for hip twist that we're gonna do here in a little bit, because hip twist is kind of a combination of teaser and these can-can legs and even corkscrew, if you think about the circle motion. Do your last set, hold the belly in, bring the legs together. Now, if you want, you could just grab onto the back legs and wrap yourself up to seated. Otherwise, lengthen your legs onto the floor, arms up, and do a roll up to bring yourself up off the floor and then stretch. So hip twist, so the full version of hip twist, your arms are straight, your ribs are lifted, and your hands are behind your hips, and your legs are up in these teaser legs. And we're trying to draw a circle, alternating circle with the legs. You can come down to your elbows if you want and draw the circle. Or you could do tabletop legs and draw the circle. So it gets a little bit easier there the way that I ordered those modifications. But if you can, straight arms, lift the rib cage. Good, and draw on those circles. Hopefully feel those obliques working. Glue the legs together. Try not to grip into your neck. Do one more in each direction if you can. And then you come back to center and then rest back down. Let's turn to the side. We'll do a nice easy one as mermaid, and then we'll go into our side bends. So mermaid, sit in the Z sit, and we're gonna start stretching away from the feet. So I know some will be different in left and right, but hand on the floor, and then you're gonna take that arm up and overhead and stretch away from the legs. Good. Come back up and stretch in the opposite direction. Coming up and stretch, deep breath. Now the next time you stretch away from the legs, we're gonna hold it. So stretch into the mermaid and hold it. Chrissy, go to the other direction. And then you're gonna twist and look at the floor. Twist, face center, hold it. We're gonna add a twist to face the ceiling. So twist, try to open up and look at the ceiling, face center, and then come all the way back up. And you can do the counter stretch if you want. We're gonna swing the legs to the other side. Do the same thing here. So I think we did about 2 or 3 before we added the rotation. So just fall over and then stretch into the legs. Deep breath up high in the rib cage, keeping your hips on the floor. So really, pelvis does not move on this one. Until we add that rotation, it might move a little. Hold the stretch, and then you're gonna twist, look at the floor, twist back to face front, and then twist a little to look up to the ceiling, and then face front, and then you can come all the way back up and do your counter stretch. All right, so side bends. It's a little harder on your balance. It puts more pressure onto the wrist. If you try to do the full, you could do this on your elbow too. You want your feet down at the bottom edge of your mat, and either the elbow or the hand at the other end of your mat. You also want to be lined up down this imaginary line down the center so that you're not too wobbly and lose your balance. So we're going to try to lift up and go into a full side bend where you look like a rainbow and stretch out. You could keep this lower knee on the floor if you need to, and then go all the way back down to the floor and lift up onto the knee if you need to. You could just do this on the elbow if you can't get up to that straight arm. That's good. All right, I'm going to trick you guys for if you want to work a little harder, you're going to go down but don't rest and then lift back up into it. Not letting the hips completely rest in between each one. But remember, if you hate these or the wrist can't handle it anymore, go ahead and take a break. Good, when you're ready, you can rest back down. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Bring your ankles to the bottom edge of the mat. Remember, you can keep this lower leg on the floor and get up onto that knee if you need to modify this. You can do this on your elbow too. Lifting up and stretching. That's good. It's so fun to watch you guys all doing these. When you're ready, go over, and then when you're about to rest to the floor, lift back up, not letting the hips completely rest. And it's a lot of work in the shoulder, so take breaks if you need it. Hopefully you're breathing. Oh, Anna, that looks pretty. You can go all the way back down to the floor and then rest back down. Now we're gonna come up onto a kneeling position. So when you're kneeling here, stand tall on your knees, right down the center line of your mat. We're gonna go into some side leg kicks, and then I'm gonna show you this harder version too if you're ready for it. So reach your arms out to the side. We're going to tip over onto one hand and extend the opposite leg. So the reaching arm to the sky could be straight up and strong, hand on the hip or hand behind the head. Either one is fine. The top leg is going to go up and down. Now if this feels too easy, extend that lower leg to straight and do the same thing. Up and down. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Now hold the leg at hip height. You're gonna swing forward and back. Don't move the upper body. Trying to stay strong and stable. Still breathing. Good, you have one more. And then when you bring the leg back to center, just rest here and do a stretch. Just like that side bend stretch we were doing. We'll go to the other side. Stand tall on your knees, reach your arms out, tip over, extend the leg, and then go up and down. You can bring the hand behind your head or on your hip, wherever you want. If you want to do the full plank, you can. I feel pressure to do it because I did it on the other side. Still breathing. That's good. Hold the leg up at hip height. Keep it up. You're going to swing the leg forward and back. Keep that lower arm strong. Flexing and pointing if you want to, just to add to the coordination. I think I can only do one more. When you bring the leg back to center, just take that reaching arm way overhead and stretch. Come onto your hands and knees. So for this one, we're gonna do some tricep push-ups. So you can modify this and stay on your knees, or you can go into a full plank. What you don't want to happen is chin to your chest and looking into your belly. You want back and head, reaching to the ceiling behind you. Bend the elbows as you inhale, exhale, push the floor away. Bend and straight. So for the tricep push-up, try to keep your elbows real close to your waistline. Every time those arms lengthen to straight, feel the shoulder blades spread apart. Do one more. Hold the arms straight. Now you can stay on your knees if you need to, otherwise lift up to straight legs. Lift one leg up, lower down. Lift the other leg up and lower down. Good, one more lift on each side. And then go ahead and rest on your knees. Sit back to your heels. Just go into a little child's pose stretch, lengthen the arms. We're gonna come back to seated. When you're sitting, we're gonna do a couple stretches. They mimic tree on the reformer. So lengthen one leg just straight, opposite leg is bent. You're gonna try to sit up tall and hold on to the back of the thigh of the bent leg. Kick the leg to straight, bend it, kick it to straight, bend. Third one, you hold it to straight. Walk your hands up that leg as high as you can get, shoulders shrug down so don't grip into your neck, lift the rib cage, and now flex the foot to deepen the stretch. Try to pull it in a little deeper. You're gonna keep the leg lifted as you walk your hands down and just fall back halfway and hold. Now only if you can, don't fall to the floor, only if you can, let go. Shoulders still shrug down, your abs are still tight, pulled in. Bring your hands back to the leg, walk to the top of the leg, pull yourself in for another stretch, and then bend the knee. Now we're gonna keep that leg bent as you drop it to the side, so it falls to the floor. Lengthen your spine, grow taller, and twist towards the bent leg. So you wanna twist towards the bent leg side. Try to grow a little taller, twist a little further. We're gonna stay in this rotation towards the bent leg, but then fold into the straight leg. But keep that rotation, look into the bent leg. Good, take that arm way overhead, Steve, if you can. The other arm. Both hands to your feet. There it is, good. Stretch a little deeper. You can come back up. When you face center, we gotta do tree, and then the twist, and the side bend stretch on the other side. So we started with the opposite leg bent now. Opposite leg straight, you got it. Kick up and bend. Try to grow taller. Now hold it to straight. Walk your hands up that leg and pull the leg in, shoulders down, abs are in the whole time. Walk your hands down as you fall back halfway. Try not to rotate. Stay squared off facing forward if you can. Let go. Keep the leg up. Bring your hands back to the leg. Walk to the top again. Pull yourself in for the stretch. Flex the foot to deepen it. And then you can bend the knee. Keep the knee bent as you let the knee fall to the floor. Sit tall and twist. Try to twist as far as you can. And you're gonna stay twisted, looking at the bent knee, but then fold into the straight leg. So both hands come to the foot. You gotta lean down a little deeper. And then when you come back up, you can face back to center. Now this one, you could use your ball or your roller. We're just gonna do a stretch backwards over it. So you're gonna kind of be reclining to start, and then we're gonna go back into our extension. Try to position the ball or roller right behind your ribs, right where, for the ladies, right where the bra strap crosses. So you should feel comfortable when you go back, but come out of it if it doesn't feel comfortable. Use your hands for neck support too if you need to. You're gonna fall back and extend. And just breathe into the rib cage. Good, you can always reposition that ball if you needed to. Take another deep breath. And use your hands behind the head, bring your chin to your chest and pull yourself all the way back up to seated. Good, after that you're just gonna sit however you're comfortable. And we're just gonna do a couple of shoulder shrugs and neck rolls. Shoulders up to your ears and down. Shoulders up and down. Do one more. Shoulders down out of the ears. Just do a couple of neck rolls in one direction. And then you can do your neck rolls in the opposite direction. Good job. After that, you guys are all done.